So while while you were on your hiatus from the screen from 2010 to 2016, was there a role that almost tempted you back? Was there anything that would have gotten you to come back, or you were set on, just kind of finding yourself in that period?
Yeah, I wasn't looking.
You weren't looking, yeah.
No.
In fact, I think you had said, "Don't send me stuff," right?
Yeah. Well, that's the only way.
That's the only way. Yeah, right. So what, if we can ask, what were you up to during those years? There's a lot of different kinds of projects and adventures and things, right?
Yeah. I went to school. Set up shop in a house. Fell in love. Adopted some dogs. Watched my niece and nephew grow up. Life things.
Yeah.
I didn't sit around, I created a television show, we filmed it. I was working just in a different capacity away from the cameras.
And how did you know when it was time to come back, as you did in 2016 with Bridget Jones's Baby?
Because they wanted to make Bridget Jones
Another Bridget
baby.
Jones. So even before I think we saw the 2019 limited series What If, which you did, I think you had received kind of an overture about a film about the last months in the life of Judy Garland. How did that kind of come through, and what were your reactions to the idea of even playing someone who was so famous and so familiar to people with her voice and her I'm trying to think if, in terms of real people who the public would know, had you ever had a thing quite like that?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah.
My friend David Livingstone, who is a producer, I knew him from, I want to say Bridget Jones days, early Bridget Jones. He acquired the rights to the play to make into a film, and he sent the script my way. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that at all, because I don't consider myself a live performer, and I've never sung in that capacity before. So I asked him what on earth he was thinking, and he said, well, why don't you just come to London and we'll talk about it. And come to London and then we'll talk and we'll take some pictures and then we'll sing a little. We'll go over to Abbey Road and do some recordings. And I was like, packing. So yeah, that was a yes. I was curious, and I loved the story, and I didn't understand a lot about the circumstances that Judy Garland was grappling with toward the end of her life, and I was curious to learn more about that as well. So I went to England, and we started to discuss things, and then we started to try things, and then we just kept trying things until here we are.
Yeah, and we should, if anyone doesn't know this, every Judy Garland song we hear in the film is actually you singing, right? Every single one. The singing is one amazing part of this. Another part is the physical transformation, which we can say was recognized also this week with a Best Makeup and Hairstyling Oscar nomination, and those guys will be going to the Oscars with you.
Jeremy Woodhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a genius.
It was incredible, and I guess I just wonder if you can share, what was the daily process of turning you into Judy Garland?
Well, Rupert Gould, the director, was adamant that it not be distracting. He didn't want there to be a barrier between I guess, the audience and the emotion. And he felt like that sometimes the prosthetics, as accurate as they can be stifling in some way. So he wanted to minimize it. So we started by throwing everything on, and then we started to extract a bit at a time until we got it down to the bare minimum. And it took 90 minutes after a while, if the prosthetic would cooperate, and they're highly opinionated. I didn't know that. Oh boy, are they. Sometimes they're very outspoken and they misbehave. they have very colorful personalities too. But so that was it. Yeah, 90 minutes every day.
And beyond what was in the script, I know that you did a lot of your own homework, and YouTube these days can be very helpful. And so I wonder if you could talk about that, but also if you could in any way relate to, personally tap into Judy Garland. I mean, Hollywood, when you're around it for a long time in the public eye, I think, it's not always like it is when Jerry Maguire pops or like it is right now. People can be fair weather friends and public and all of that. I just wonder if you personally could understand some of what she had to deal with.
Well, certainly. I mean, there are certain things that I know just from working in the industry. I understand a schedule. I understand the toll that it can take on your personal life if you don't pay attention or if you don't have the opportunity to take care. I understand the vast gulf between the, public perception of a persona and the truth of a life. And I also think that there are certain things that I might understand better about her experience now than I might have 10 years ago. When I came to learn about what was happening in her life in the final chapter of Judy Garland's life, this just deep empathy washed over me. I just felt that it seemed unjust to me that somehow that period of her life was blanketed with the notion of tragedy. And this film, and telling this story, gave us an opportunity to sort of contextualize those circumstances so that you could look at it in a different way, perhaps, and subvert the notion that she was tragic. The fact that she was able to overcome seemingly insurmountable challenges again and again and again in order to continue to deliver, to perform on the highest levels, to take care of herself, her family. This was her bliss. The fact that she was able to do that over and over again with no support, in financial dire straits, no home, no true collaborative caretaking group who would look after her professionally, no rest, no ability to step away when the performance and the cost it exacts on your body and your life becomes apparent, no opportunity to step away like some of us have had. She's a hero. She's not tragic. She's extraordinary. And I think in coming to understand those circumstances, and it's the only way to really fully appreciate how exceptional she was, to just look at her as beautiful and gifted, and she had a wonderful life as a performer and all of that. Yes, she's an icon, absolutely, but to know what she had to overcome in order to maintain that, she's for the ages.
One final question that I'd like to ask you is that, I was there at the first screening of this movie at the Telluride Film Festival, where literally at the end of it, I think everybody I saw around me turned to the person next to them and said, "Holy shit." You just blew everybody away. But and it just continued ever since. Toronto, so many different film festivals, and then the public, and on and on. But if there are two moments that in the film that I wonder if you could talk about, because I think they capture what a brilliant performance it is. One of them is the telephone scene that we saw a little bit of earlier, where I don't even know if you're acting opposite anyone on speaking to you the other lines. That I'd be curious to know. And the other one is a scene that we're going to see in a moment of you performing the song By Myself, I believe it's called, when Judy has been sort of had to be propped up out of bed, drunk, pushed out on stage at a moment where we're all bracing to see you just fail as Judy, and she rises to the occasion. And it's both of those moments I think are incredible, and I just wonder if you can take us into your process and memories of doing them.
Yeah, sure. Well, for the By Myself number, for Rupert, the director, it was really important for him that the audience be unsure, as you said, as you talked about, whether or not she would be able to pull it off. And also he wanted the parallels between that performance and the words in the song to, well, he wanted that to represent the life she was living at the time. And it was such an interesting process. He wanted those emotions to be in my muscles in some way. So when we were rehearsing that number, he had me pushing a piano while I sang. So that I would feel the struggle, because that's how Rupert perceived the struggle of having to deliver this song and not fail, because she recognized what hung in the balance. And then your other question was about the phone call.
Phone scene, yeah.
That was really important to me, because in all the research that I had done, it was really clear to me how much being with her children meant to her, and wanting to be a good mother, and how she longed to spend time with her. And there's, I can't remember the year now, was it 1963 or 65, when she did the interview with Barbara Walters? And she's in the little blue dress, and she's sitting with Lorna and Joey, and she's holding them really tightly. And Barbara asked her, what would you do if you weren't a performer? And she just shrugged and said, be a nice lady. And to me, that was the sort of the catalyst. It just, of course, she wants a life. She wants normalcy. She wants to be able to experience her own humanity, and longs for that. And so that scene to me was it was sort of the heart of that, telling that story to me. And Rupert was on the phone.
Oh, really? He was...
I played a very good little girl. And I loved that, because he was able to deliver the lines in a way that would, elicit the response he was hoping for. So,
Just before we take a look at this clip, I guess I have to ask you, what would you do if you weren't a performer?
Gosh, at this point, that's a really good question. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I write all the time, so maybe, I'd need to finally submit something to make a living.
Let's take one more look at Judy.